Welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Jay Leach, my pronouns are he, him, and I'm absolutely honored to be able to say one more time, I am the minister of this community. The grand poet T.S. Eliot actually grew up in a Unitarian family, though he could hardly have found a way to more forcefully reject his religious upbringing. That need not incline us to reject or avoid his words. In Little Gidding, as some of you will recall, Eliot turned a particular paradox over and over, considering every angle as if it were some cubist painting. To get it started, he'd write, "What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from." Is today about the end or the beginning? Paradox permits us simply to respond, yes. A word about my cohorts today. Some of you, having heard me sing here last week, may be feeling a bit uneasy. This quartet seems suspicious. After all, if Ray Charles could have his Rayettes, then I suppose Jay Leach could have his Jayettes. You will no doubt be relieved to know when you see the five of us that such singing as we do together will only today be along with the rest of you. Relax. These four people, all so dear to me, each served at some point in my 19 years here as chair of our board of trustees. As such, and along with the other board chairs who have been up here with me this month, they are also representative of the many, many ones of you whose exemplary engagement made everything we did possible. If there have been successes, and I for one think there have been, they have all been not because of me, but because of us. Anne, Dave, Fred, Susan, I love you. You know that. Thank you again for your service to our community. And thanks to each of you who have served in any capacity during these 19 years. Some very special people are joining us today by way of our live stream. So I'm tempted to do my best romper room act. Romper room, come on, children of the 60s, you know what I'm talking about. We didn't have Sesame Street, you know that. My best romper room act and announce, I see Bruce and Yvonne and Derek and Jim and Kathy and... Okay, instead I'll simply welcome all of you and thank you for being a part of our service this morning. I hope you'll venture to our public Facebook page. Simply search for the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte and respond with a comment to the welcome post there. We want to know that you are with us. And deep thanks to each one of you in this room here today. I'm gratified by your presence. take a moment now and let's greet one another. Welcome.
Good morning, I'm Fred Dotson. My pronouns are he, him. Could it be that we first started fires not just for comfort from darkness, not just for preparing meals? Could it have been for the magic, the beauty, and the awe-inspiring flame? We will now light our chalice.
Good morning. I'm Ann Doss Helms. My pronouns are she, her. And our reading this morning comes from Pema Chodron's When Things Fall Apart, Heart Advice for Difficult Times. To be fully alive, fully human, and completely awake is to be continually thrown out of the nest. To live fully is to be always in no man's land. To experience each moment as completely new and fresh. To live is to be willing to die over and over again. Things falling apart is a kind of testing, and also a kind of healing. We think that the point is to pass the test or to overcome the problem, but the truth is that things don't really get solved. They come together and they fall apart. Then they come together again and fall apart again. It's just like that. The healing comes from letting there be room for all of this to happen. Room for grief, for relief, for misery, for joy.
I'm Susan Cox, and my pronouns are she, hers. This reading is from Everything Falls Away by Parker Palmer. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your successes, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light, alongside the times you became one with the night. The friends, the people you loved who loved you, those who might have wished you ill, none of this is forever. All of it is soon to go, or going, or gone. Everything falls away except the thread you followed unknowing all along. The thread that strings together all you've been and done. The thread you didn't know you were tracking until, toward the end, you see that the thread is what stays as everything else falls away. Follow that thread as far as you can, and you'll find that it does not end, but weaves into the unimaginable vastness of life. Your life never was the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always part of the great weave of nature and humanity, an immensity we come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together. This magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece, which we live forever.
get this out of the way at the start. I'm done. Or not. The wry Polish poet Wisława Szymborska was selected to receive the Nobel Prize for Literature in 1996. Stepping to the podium for her Nobel lecture, she paused briefly before declaring, "They say the first sentence in any speech is always the hardest." Then continued, "Well, that one's behind me." If how to begin is a dilemma that perennially plagues writers and speakers of all kinds, then, as I now recognize more clearly than ever, how to end, how to speak one's last sentence or sentences, carries its own particular, peculiar kind of challenge. Similarly sardonic, Billy Collins, in a long poem about, of all things, Aristotle, moves toward his conclusion, asserting, "This is the end, according to Aristotle, what we have all been waiting for, what everything comes down to." The end. What everything comes down to. Disillusion. Disintegration. And isn't that what Yeats, a poet neither wry nor sardonic, was trying to tell us? Turning and turning in the widening gyre, the falcon cannot hear the falconer. Things fall apart. The center cannot hold. In amazement, we are now looking deeper and further into the inconceivable vastness of the cosmos than ever before. Scanning the breathtaking beauty of these celestial spectacles, suspended in awe-inspiring images, it's easy to forget that what we're actually seeing is the 13+ billion year spectacle of things falling apart, coming apart, moving apart in an ever-expanding universe. It all hangs together, suspended in these telescopic photographs. But these are actually glimpses of what Ingo H. Lumner calls a loss of cohesion. It's a defining cosmic condition with rather alarming implications. Lumner warns that a mere, make your plans, 52.8 billion years, the Earth will separate from the solar system. This is the end. What we've all been waiting for. What everything comes down to. Cohesion in an orderly cosmos. Predictability, permanence, continuity even. These are not natural states. The center cannot hold. Things fall apart. Back here on Earth, it may pain certain ones of us to concede that the primitive Hebrew religionist of the book of Genesis might actually have been onto something in poetically positing that paradise was dissolved by a fall. From all the way back in the beginning, It is as if we were, please, it's a metaphor. Not a moral condition, folks. It is as if we are all fallen. Or is it falling? We who are seemingly wired to want predictability, who all need some notion of continuance. We live at odds with this larger order, or rather disorder of things. We may want fixity, persistence. What we get instead is endings of all sorts and kinds. Fine for a poet to profess that things fall apart. Far more painful to hear just this past week from a repair person that this cosmic condition includes our washing machines. Now, Billy Collins claims that the end is the destination we can't help imagining. Really? Cannot help imagining? Who's he trying to kid? I've spent much of my life ignoring the inevitability of endings, acting as if things could go on forever, avoiding goodbyes, delaying letting go. I've closed doors only to reopen them. I've ended relationships only to rekindle them, tried to hang on, tried to hold on. I know, my son's rolling eyes silently say, you've had those hiking boots since high school. You've had those textbooks since college. You've had your car since early in Obama's first term. All of which is to say, a day like this comes as a shock to my system. Robert Earl King misled me when he sang, the road goes on forever and the party never ends. Oh, in some general theoretical, abstract sort of way, I suppose I always knew this day would come. But walking these grounds before sunrise on this past Friday, trying to take it all in one last time before my final day in the office here, I was still struck by just how surreal this actual ending feels. Which brings us to the first of the truths captured in Parker Palmer's own poignant poem. Sooner or later, everything falls away. You, the work you've done, your successes, large and small, your failures too. Those moments when you were light alongside the times when you were one with the night. The friends, the people you loved. Who loved you. Those who might have wished you ill. None of this is forever. All of it is soon to go, or going, or long gone. None of this is forever. None of this, nothing in your life or mine is forever. Sooner or later, everything falls away. Did you hear him? Do you hear me? Sooner or later, everything falls away. How would you live your life? No, wait. Isn't that one of those preacherly questions with no actual relevance? So let's try this instead. How would you live today, this week, if you knew that sooner or later everything falls away? What, who would you value, cherish, invest in, notice, appreciate? What might you and I change if we actually accepted that sooner or later everything falls away? Easier always to traffic in generalities. Easier to proclaim our collective mortality than to face those deaths that hurt so much. And to acknowledge my own movement toward that inevitable end. Easier to affirm that transience, impermanence is the way of things than to face the fact that the things I care about and the ways I really want them to stay is soon to go or going or long gone. Easier to profess that everything falls away than to face the unavoidable conclusion that this now falls away. Isn't that why across spiritual traditions of all sorts and kinds, the counsel is remarkably similar? How to live in a world in which everything comes down to the end by not clutching, by not clinging. Live in the in-between, appreciating without grasping, honoring what is in ways that aggrandize neither longevity nor permanence. After all, it has never actually been the way it's always been. Something that might be helpful to remember in the coming days around here. It has never been the way it's always been. Suffering, say the Buddhist, comes not from impermanence, but from our illusion that there's such a thing as permanence. Surrender is at the center of the spiritual life, say the Muslims, the most central tenet in all of Islam. And that's exactly what those beloved Baptists of my boyhood taught me to sing. I surrender all. I surrender all to thee, my blessed Savior. I surrender all. And who of them could have imagined that decades later I'd be summoning up that long ago memory and melody on my closing day in a Unitarian Universalist congregation? The road may not go on forever, but oh, what a long, strange trip it has been. It's hard. It's harsh. Things fall apart, don't last, they come to their end. But that's not all. That's not even the whole truth in Parker Palmer's poem. Did you hear? Everything falls away except the thread that you have followed. unknowing all along, the thread that strings together all you've been and done, the thread you didn't know you were tracking until towards the end. You see that the thread is always what stays as everything falls away. Follow that thread as long as you can. And you'll find that it does not end, but weaves into the unimaginable vastness of your life. Your life was never the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always a part of the great weave of nature and humanity and immensity we come to know only as we follow our own small threads to the place where they merge with the boundless whole. Each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together, this magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we live forever. When you and I, over the years, tried to talk a little religion, I said repeatedly that religion actually traffics less in belief than in paradox. Right, Tom? And here it is again, one last time. Everything falls away. And everything is woven into the unimaginable vastness, this great weave of nature and humanity, the boundless whole. For a time, we have lived alongside one another. Now and from now on, each of our threads runs its course, then joins in life together. This magnificent tapestry, this masterpiece in which we live forever. Or as we put it, the interdependent web of all existence, of which we are just a part. I stand before you one last time, as I have stood every other time, with all of the threads that constitute the tapestry of my life. Constituted, held together by all of those who have woven their lives into mine. On this day, when professional ministry ends for me, I feel their hands. I feel your hands on my shoulders. Touches of blessing, like the ones I received kneeling in the chancel of a nearby church on that grand day of my ordination. And you? You are no different. Your life was never the solo turn. Your life was never the solo turn. Your life was never the solo turn it seemed to be. It was always a part of the grand weave. Those who have fallen and those who are falling away are still in you, woven into your very essence. Beyond you and me, there is us. There is we. Those most defining pronouns of the spiritual community. We are woven. We are woven now and from now on into one another's lives. All of who we have been and are and all of who we will be is a part of this magnificent tapestry. this masterpiece in which we will live forever. Plated. You know this word? Not something that happens to a meal, plated, but P-L-A-I-T-E-D. Woven, braided, knitted, plaited. Things fall apart. Everything falls away. None of this is forever. It's one side of this defining paradox. The other of which, in May Sarton's endlessly repeatable words, is this: what has been plated cannot be unplated. Only the strands grow richer with each loss. And memory makes kings and queens of us. May it be forever so.
Good morning. My name is Dave Walsh. My pronouns are he, him. Welcome to all of you. We're happy to have you with us today in this room or joining us remotely. We're pleased to have guests with us in this room and participating through our live stream. Our members would like to greet those of you who are here following the service. So if you're visiting, please raise your hand and keep it up. Members, take note of guests seated near you and invite them to join you for coffee and conversation when the service ends. If you're visiting us by way of our live stream or viewing an archived version of the service, we'd welcome an opportunity to connect with you. Reach out to our Director of Member Relations, Kelly Green. You can email her at kelly@uuccharlotte.org. Should it enhance your experience of future services, we offer large print order of services, personal hearing assistance devices, and have an elevator available as well. Welcome to each of you, visitors and members alike.
The road may not last forever, but it does most certainly go on. This is and this will remain a vital, vibrant community. Announcements in today's handout serve to remind you of upcoming opportunities for both engagement and enjoyment. Please find your way into something beyond this room. From my first days here, we have committed together to make these walls permeable to the pain in this community, in our state, our nation, and our world. May we never fail to listen deeply and to hear clearly the pain that accompanies all oppression. May we never silence the sound of those who are hurting on the streets of this city and around our fragile globe. May the truths we have learned together about intersectional justice make us ever aware of all privileges. So too, may there always be space in our hearts for those in our own community who are in need, who today include McElvin Starr, Bill and Abby Steppen, Sharon Welling, Ann Wood, Justine Bustow, grieving the loss of your dad, Kurt Merkel, grieving the loss of your mom. Those who are unable to be in this room, those of you who are today caring for someone in need. Your candles on stands before you today mark some special occasion of celebration, sorrow, or remembrance. You're invited to come forward later in the service when the offering music is played and light your own candle in silence. Please join me in a time of meditation and aspiration. To that which is, to the one who is as far beyond us, as deep within us. We sing indeed praises for the journey, for all that has been, and for all that is yet to be. We name into the vastness of all that is good and true and beautiful our pained recognition of endings, great and small. For that which we have had to move on from, and for those whom we have lost along this way. We claim in that same mystic realm the faith-filled hope that nothing, that no one is ever fully lost to us. In days fraught with despair, may we yet find and be hope. In days rent by injustice and inequity, may we persist in our commitment to the high calling of justice, of equity. In days of dissension, division, animosity, and war, may peace yet be within and among us. May peace yet be within and among us. May there be peace within and among us.
as we approach the time for our offering, give what you will for the church that has meant so much to you, for the church that meant so much to those who came before you, and for the church that will mean so much to the people you will never know. Give what you will, for we are a generous people.
just in case you have somehow, inexplicably, missed this, there will be a reception and brief tribute to Program for Jay immediately following the service across the hall. Don't you read currents? Please join me rising in body or spirit in an affirmation of our faith by Reinhold Niebuhr. Nothing worth doing is completed in our lifetime. Therefore, we are saved by hope. Nothing true or beautiful or good makes complete sense in any immediate context of history. Therefore, we are saved by faith. Nothing we do, however virtuous, can be accomplished alone. Therefore,
morning, service leaders are distributing a document intended to guide us through a ritual for the release of call. Jay, as co-chairs of this year's Board of Trustees, Paul and I ask that you come now to the pulpit one final time so we might participate together in this sacred ritual. Okay, now.
Reverend J. Leach, on April 6, 2003, the members of this congregation voted to call you as our minister. You began your ministry with us in August of that year. Now, 19 years later, we come together to celebrate your ministry among us and to release each other from the lived covenant that has existed between us, minister and congregation.
I thank the members of the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte for journeying with me on this path. I thank you for all that I have learned from you. I thank you for the love, kindness, and support you have shown me and my family. I'm grateful for the ways that my leadership and our shared vision have been embraced, enhanced, and embodied in these years together.
Today, we acknowledge your decision to end your ministry among us. We will not forget all that we have experienced with you. We thank you for your long devotion to us.
Do you, Jay, now release the congregation from turning to you and depending on you as our minister? And do you support us as we begin a new journey of exploration apart from you?
I do. With my sincerest hopes for your courageous and compassionate future in the years to come.
Do you, the members of this congregation, release Reverend J. Leach from our call, from the challenges and opportunities of being our minister, and will you release him now into the embrace of his family here before us?
We now release you from your call, Jay. As you now step down from our pulpit, we offer you, Melissa and Emerson, our blessings as your personal and professional lives continue apart from us.
Aware that the life and ministry of this congregation is rooted in a long history, that we come to this moment having been supported and sustained by our ministers, our professional staff, and our many members and friends throughout the years, and that our days ahead remain bright with possibility, let us now join in affirming the vision of the UUCC.
We are